Hi everyone, welcome to the MrpTech podcast. This is episode 172. My name is Matt, and in this week's episode, what I'd like to do is take another look at some iOS apps for you all. It seems like over the last few months, my workflow is slowly changing. You have heard me talk in the past about some of the projects that I'm working on, how this past summer I was working on some grants for my business to be able to purchase iPads as digital music readers for my music business, and that project is still in the works, and we're still applying for more grants. At this point, we're about 22% funded for my project, and with that, there's been tons of research with lots of things. There's in regards to iOS, some Mac apps that we needed, back-end infrastructure on the Mac platform. And one of the things that I want to do, I've talked a lot about open source stuff recently, and what I want to do is sort of pivot for a little bit and come back to an app review episode for iOS. Now, this week in the podcast, some of these apps are maybe something you've heard of before. These are apps that I have come to start using more and more frequently for various projects, and I thought I'd just share them with you on this show. Now, if you're the first time listener, this show is all about all sorts of different types of technology topics and interests of mine. And before I get into the app review, I want to talk a little bit about a series that I have been watching thanks to Stormwatch in the Discord room. The series that I've been watching on Netflix is the reboot of Lost in Space. Now, I have to say that if you go back a few episodes in this podcast, I was binge watching the entire 4 seasons so far of The Expanse, and that show I was very hesitant to like in the beginning, but the more that I got sort of immersed in that universe, the more that I really began to sort of really enjoy it. And so Lost in Space, I sort of followed that series I was watching, and I had big expectations for Lost in Space. Now, Lost in Space, the original series, I remember watching reruns as a kid, and it was one of my favorite shows. I enjoyed this show. I enjoyed the robot. I enjoyed Will Robinson. And honestly, I don't remember a lot about it, to be quite frank. And so getting into this episode, in this series, I had zero expectations for the show because I really didn't know what anything was about it. Now, this year, the second season had just come out, and I hadn't caught the first season. So I started with season 1 and just finished season 2 this morning. And again, with this particular show, it took me a while to get to know the characters in the show and really appreciate the show for what it was. After a few episodes, I started liking it a little bit more, and there were some questions I had as far as, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there are some questions I had as far as where the show was going. At many points, the show seemed very slow moving, in my opinion. But as I finished the first season into the second season, things started to pick up a little bit more, and I thoroughly enjoyed really both seasons of Lost in Space. So if you haven't seen that show, we've been sort of talking about it a little bit off and on in the Discord room, and I would recommend you check out the reboot. It's definitely worth watching. I think there's 20 episodes, so it's not a something that's going to take you forever to get through, but it was enjoyable enough to keep my interest in the show. If I were, and you really can't compare The Expanse to Lost in Space. They really are two different things entirely. I think that I probably enjoyed The Expanse a little bit more just because the story was so much more in depth. I would consider Lost in Space more along a family show. It's a little intense sometimes for everyone, so I wouldn't really quite call it a family show, but it's a little you have to take everything with a little bit more grains of salt to get through Lost in Space. But I still enjoyed it, and I'm able to if you explain the rules of the setup of that particular universe, I'm able to sort of immerse myself. So I'm looking forward to season 3. Hopefully there's a season 3 coming out. It seemed like they left it where that was certainly possible. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, so I have 5 app picks today that I want to discuss with all of you, and they are all basically completely different apps that I have sort of been using over the last 6 months to 8 months, and some of you may use these, some of you may not. This first app is actually a music app, and if you are a professional musician, more and more it seems that using a tablet or an iPad is becoming the norm, and the use of paper seems to slowly be going away, and I cannot wait for the day that no paper has to be used, and we can all use digital music readers or PDF readers, whatever you want to call them. And most musicians on iOS use the app called Piascore. Now, I've been researching that app, and it works pretty well. And it's a very simple app that you can use as a music reader. What I wanted and researching these apps to be used on iPad, I wanted sort of a backup plan just in case there was issues with Piascore. And so the first app that I'm going to talk about today is called Piascore, Piascore. It's a smart music score reader, and basically you can use it for iPhone or iPad, and it's an application for browsing digital music scores. The concept is viewing musical score from everywhere, anywhere, anytime. So it really comes in handy if you have a lot of music that you are constantly working with. For instance, my group, we have well over 100 songs at this point in time, and their goal is to solve every problem that music performers have encountered. So you're not lugging scores of music. If you want to think about 100 songs, that is a quite bulky folder when it comes to a musician, whereas you can put it on a thin iPad and carry everything with you. So you can literally put as much music as your iPad can hold. Now, Piascore is free in the App Store, and it offers in-app purchases. And the reason why I liked this is because Piascore, I believe, now is over $10. And so they both basically do the same thing. Piascore has a very elegant setup where you can import music very easily from Dropbox, Nextcloud, Google Drive, etc. And you can create you can organize your scores, you can create set lists, you can download new music, and then more importantly, you can access your music and not have any issues when it comes to the order you're performing in songs. You're not going to have any issues as far as jumping around in music or that type of thing. So it really does take care of a lot of things that most musicians will encounter by reading music. So if you are, let's say, someone who plays piano, you're also a conductor, or you may play some guitar at some point in time, you can organize the music for all of those events. Then you can create set lists depending on what you're performing from anything. It's a very easy tool to use once you sort of understand how it works. So Piascore is a great backup solution to Piascore. I do think that Piascore is the better option. you pay for it up front, and everything works in Fourscore right away. Piascore, it's got basic functionality, and then you're going to pay for basically everything else that Fourscore does in-app purchases. So great little backup tool for anybody who uses iPads as a music score reader. Changing gears completely now. This app I have to be honest, I have not used a whole lot, but I've kept it on my phone because I think it's an important app that just about everybody really should have. It's not for musicians. It's really for anybody. If you're interested in health and fitness, or just kind of want to be aware of the products that you use, and learning the ingredients, and you want to really know how safe a product is that you're using. This app is called Think Dirty and Shop Clean. It's for iOS, iPhone, iPad. Basically, it has easy to use barcode scanner. You take a product, you scan the barcode, and then what it will do, and this is their advertisement, it says, our unbiased rating system gives you an easy to understand overview of the health impacts associated with a product and its ingredients. So they sort of have a 0 to 10 scale where there are products that have not been rated. 0 to 3 would be insufficient data or known evidence that shows that these ingredients are harmful. 4 to 7, basically there's moderate concern that there's inconclusive evidence that shows that ingredients might have some health impacts. And then 8 to 10 is in red, and it shows that there's strong evidence that some of these ingredients may have long-term health impacts. So it's basically, the premise is it's unbiased, and that and I know that's hard to believe coming from my opinion, but when you scan a product, it'll give you every one of its ingredients in a nice color-coded fashion from green to red, and that 0 through 10 scale, and you can tap on any of the ingredients and it will tell you the health impacts of it. So it's the easiest way to learn about potentially toxic ingredients in your personal care products, or food sources, whether it's soap you wash your hands with, or mouthwash, or anything like that, shampoo. It will show you what exactly it is that you're using, and will give you an easy to understand sort of diagnostic of what's in there, and maybe let you lean towards eventually buying safer products in the future. So Think Dirty is something that I would like to get more into as time goes on. I haven't used it a lot, but there are some really great reviews on the App Store. It's 4.8 stars on the App Store, and reading the reviews, a lot of people are really sort of excited about this. So again, that's Think Dirty, and it's put out by Think Dirty Incorporated, and I think it's ranked number 13 in health and fitness apps. So it is quite popular at this point. Okay, third app that I'm going to talk about today is probably an app that most people would not need, unless you're traveling, or unless you work in an area where you're dealing with people from different places, many tourists, that type of thing, and often people are speaking different languages. There's a language barrier between people, or maybe you yourself are traveling to another country. This is SayHi Translate for iOS, and it's a voice translator for everyone. The idea here is similar to Google Translate. This app is absolutely fantastic. You do need internet connectivity in order for it to use it correctly, but you instantly speak another language for free by saying using the Translate app, and you have a conversation in 2 languages. So basically let's say you're translating from English to French. There are 2 microphone buttons. You push the English mic and you speak, and it will translate it to French. And then when the person that's speaking French wants to speak, they push the French microphone and they speak French. It translates it back to English. It's as far as I can tell, it's very accurate in what I'm saying. So it is a tool that would be useful for me in the summertime, dealing with the job that I have in the summer, where there's a lot of people every day coming from all sorts of different places. The drawback with it is obviously you need internet connection in order for it to do the translation. So if you're in a place that has no internet, you're going to, you're not going to have great results with it. But SayHi Translate is the best translate app that I have ever used. So it does have a very clean interface. It's very simple to use, and there's many languages, from English to Spanish to French, French from France, French Canadian. Anything you can think of, at least anything I could think of, it was there. So very awesome translate app, and it would be fun for even students to use to practice speaking French and kind of going from there. So that's that. This next app I think I have mentioned before, but has really become a powerful tool for me when it comes to connecting to various devices, whether it's a Raspberry Pi, whether it's my Linux machines or whatever. If I'm on the go, which I usually am, and let's say I wanted to connect to my IRLP node at school, or I wanted to make sure I ran some updates on my Raspberry Pi and I was away from home, the Terminus app for iOS is a fantastic terminal app where you can connect to machines. You can, basically do whatever you would normally do on your machine in the command line. You can do here. So things like, if you needed to update a machine, but like my Raspberry Pi is running headless right now without a monitor. Using Terminus, I can log into my Pi, I can run the updates, I can reboot it if I need to, or do any maintenance on my Nextcloud server that I have set up. So there are things that are very useful tools like autocomplete, that you push a combination button on the keyboard on your phone or iPad, and autocomplete is there. You can also have touch sensitive gestures that will do different things on the Terminus as well. So it's got full support for Emacs and Vim for all those who use that as well. And I've been using this now for probably 3 years or so. And maybe even longer at this point. The more that I use it, the more I realize it's a powerful tool. They even have syncing options now where you can securely sync data across all your devices. So Terminus lets you organize your hosts into groups, and the groups allow you to share settings, and each of your hosts can have its own separate preferences. And so all the data along with that is securely synced across all your devices. It uses end-to-end encryption so that all your data remains safe and secure. So it's a super powerful tool for anybody who needs to connect into a machine remotely and access a command line. So by far the best command line terminal app for iOS. Last app for today is a relatively new tool I'm using. In the past, I've used scanner apps for iOS, and they sort of did their job, but I was never really super satisfied with how well they worked. I came across Scannable for Evernote recently, and it really has had an impact on the things that I'm scanning. It's very quickly becoming my go-to scanning app. And the reason for that is because it gets out of your way. It will immediately find your document and snap a picture, saves you time and effort. And then whatever file format you want it to be converted into, let's say you wanted to convert it into a PDF, automatically is dropped in Evernote and it's ready to go. I don't use Evernote a whole lot, but this makes me use Evernote just because of how good the Scanner app is. So Scannable is an app that partners with Evernote. If you're not used to Evernote, it is free. You can download it in the App Store. Scannable is a companion app and really does a great job of finding your complete document very quickly and just taking a snapshot of it. Very clean scans, and if you're in a well-lit area, I would say that it competes with any major scanner that's actual hardware. So definitely take a look at Scannable. If you've used scanner apps in the past and maybe not thrilled with them, I would suggest taking a look at it. At first, I wasn't thrilled about having to use Evernote with it, but then once everything is set up and the two apps are talking to each other, it really makes it very fast. And time is something that for me is money. And so if I can save myself time by eliminating like the minutia of something that doesn't work right or the way that I expect it to work, it really then becomes high priority for me to use. So these things like scannering apps I never used before, this makes me, if I need to scan something really quickly, then it's my go-to app now. So, all right, that's it for all of 5 iOS app picks today. All of them I'm using more and more as time goes on. So Piascore, the digital music reader. Think Dirty and Shop Clean is the health and fitness app about how to know what is in your products that you're buying. SayHi Translate is the translation app for iOS that I suggest anybody use. Absolutely great. Terminus is the terminal program where you can remotely connect to machines. You SSH into the machine's terminal and you can access the and do anything from running updates to writing code, whatever you'd like to do. And the Evernote Scannable app, scanner app for scanning documents or photos, that type of thing. So I'd like to do this more often. I'd like to start researching some more iOS apps, diving deep into that sort of the culture for a while. So I'm going to do this on and off for a while. This is the 3rd one that I have done, and I really like taking a look at this stuff. So I know a lot of people are using iPhones, iOS, and I know a lot of people that listen to this show are also Android users. So I try to understand that as well. I believe that the majority of these apps that I mentioned today are probably available on Android as well. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week. I thank you all for listening. And if you could all do me a favor before you're done listening to this podcast, think of a couple people that you would think that would like to and enjoy this podcast, and tell them about this podcast. Share this podcast for me with other people. If you know iOS users, get them to listen to the show. If you know Linux users, listen to the show. And if you have comments or feedback, you can email me at mrptechreviews@gmail.com. I'd also like to extend an invite to the Discord chat room. We have a lot of fun in that room. And as I mentioned in previous episodes, we have general talk where anybody can basically say whatever they want, any topic that they want. We've got audiobook suggestions, ham radio chats. We've got the Podnuts lug where we talk about Linux or anything related to Linux. The list goes on and on. It's very active. There's a great group of people there that I enjoy checking in on when I can. I've been super busy this last couple weeks, and It's just a whole lot of fun, and the people there that are constantly recommending things, it's a great go-to resource for anybody who is into technology, into geek culture, into computers, whether it be mobile or otherwise. It's just a fun place, and I invite you to come check that out. The more people we have, the better. So check out our Discord room. If you want to go to my website, mrptechreviews.com, just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the Discord button, and that's how you're going to get into the room. It doesn't cost anything, it's free, and just got to sign up for Discord. Okay, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks so much for listening. We will see you next time.